What's up everyone, we're going to be going through the best NBA player props on Prizepicks today. Now I did want to show you the results from yesterday's picks from my exclusive Discord group, and as you guys see, we actually got 19 picks correct, which was absolutely insane. So we're on a huge hot streak, but if you want to get 19 picks right like me, win more bets and receive the best picks from some of the best bettors in the world for less than a cup of coffee, you can access the exclusive Discord and meet some of the best sport bettors in the game by joining my Patreon, should be linked down below in the description. Once you join, you'll have complete access to the Discord and can start winning more bets today. So make sure to join my Patreon using the link in the description. And here's one of our members who just signed up and won himself $155 just yesterday, and another member who won $360 for the 5th day in a row since joining my Discord. So guys, if you want to win big money like our members, the link will be in the description, so go join the Patreon to have access to the Discord group, and I will be continuing to upload every single day on this channel the best bets and props, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss my daily uploads. A quick shout out to Knight626 Fox who said let's make some stacks today, and also shouts out to Justin Lord B1B who said let's win. So shouts out to them, and if you do want to win a shout out in the next video, all you have to do is comment down below in this video and like it, and you can be in the running to win a shout out in the next one. Alright, so let's get straight into the first pick. And when it comes to these picks, I'm not saying to chuck all of them into a parlay and hope for the best. Pick and choose the ones that you like and the ones that work best for you. So the first pick we're talking about is Cade Cunningham, and this one is actually for assists for 9.5, and this one actually is for less. Now, looking at Cade Cunningham, we've actually seen him go on the under in 1 out of the last 5 games. Now, obviously, we do see April 12th faced off against Milwaukee, where he had 12 assists there. April 20th faced off against New York Knicks in Game 1, had 12 assists. Then on April 22nd in Game 2, had 3 assists. Game 3 had 11 assists on April 25th. And then Game 4 actually had 10 assists against New York Knicks on April 28th. Now, before we get into why we do like the under for this situation here, looking more in depth, we do see his average over the last 5 being 9.6. So, you know, when it comes to that, just slightly above this line, but not really that convincing enough to us. When we look at the matchup, obviously they do face off against the New York Knicks in this next matchup, as we all know. Now, when we look at New York Knicks and also, you know, the series between them and the Pistons, we do see that the New York Knicks do currently lead 3-1 in this series. So it's definitely been an interesting series. Obviously, there was a lot of controversy in the last game when it came to, you know, the Pistons and Knicks coming down to the wire. Now, Knicks do lead 3-1, so they are in a little bit of a better position. Now, when we also look at the Knicks and Pistons, Knicks are looking to definitely close this out. It is a win or go home situation, so that's why, you know, we are expecting both these teams to really come out and play. Now, looking at both of these teams during the regular season and actually in the Eastern Conference, we did see that the Detroit Pistons did come in at the 6th spot with a record of 44-38. So they did a fantastic job there. They also had a 53.7% win percentage, which I thought was fantastic. And they face off against the New York Knicks, who have a record of 51-31. So a 62.2% win percentage there. So when we look at both of these teams, obviously there is a bit of difference in ranking between these two. You know, Knicks were in the, the higher half, while the Pistons were in the bottom half of the top 8 teams that did make it. Now, looking at the New York Knicks, when it comes to the regular season, we did see New York Knicks ranking 7th when it comes to assists allowed. So, New York Knicks actually did a fantastic job throughout the regular season and actually restricting assists. And when we also look at New York Knicks, they do a fantastic job at restricting assists to the guard position, which is also what Cade Cunningham is. Now, this is a little bit interesting to say due to the fact that when we look at the 4 games that he has played against New York Knicks, he's only gone on the under in 1 out of those 4 games. But the reason why we do like the under for this next situation is that we are expecting a bit of a different strategy coming into this next matchup. Obviously, Cade Cunningham and the playoffs, there is a little bit of unpredictability at times, and that's what's happened time and time again. You know, we saw New York Knicks come out with a different strategy. It's led to players like Cade being able to do very well in the assist, and for that reason, you know, we should see it go back down to normal, and we should see Cade Cunningham's assist numbers actually drop down there. So for that reason, we do very much like the under for this situation here. Now, obviously, looking at Cade Cunningham, and especially when he's faced off against the Knicks this season, during the regular season, we actually saw on the 1st of November of last year, we actually had 6 assists there, so went on the under in that matchup. Then on the 7th of December, had 15 assists, so he did pretty well there. And then on the 13th of January, had 4 assists. And then on the 10th of this month, April, we actually saw him have 8 assists in that matchup. So he did actually go on the under in 3 out of the last 4 games during the regular season. And that's a big reason why we do very much like the under for this situation here as well. When it comes to someone, like Cade Cunningham, although he has been able to do pretty well in the playoff series, we think we should see him come back down to reality in this next one for sure. Now, it is playoff time, as we all know, so we are expecting, especially since Knicks are going to try to close this out, a little bit more intense defense on Cade Cunningham as they try to get this 4th win. So for that reason, Cade Cunningham, 9.5 assists for less, I think is a fantastic pick. Now, getting into the next one, we're going to be talking about none other than Miles Turner. Now, Miles Turner, as we all know, great player for none other than the Indiana Pacers, and they do face off against the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, looking at Miles Turner, we do really very much like this pick because this one is actually the points pick, and this one is for 15.5, and this is for less. Now, looking at Miles Turner, we've actually seen him go on the under in 3 out of the last 5 games. Now, looking at those 5 games, we see on April 14th, faced off against Cleveland, where he had 9 points in that matchup. Then on April 20th, faced off against Milwaukee for Game 1, where he had 19 points in that matchup. April 23rd, faced off against Bucks again on the Game 2, had 15 points there, had 6 points in Game 3 on April 26th, and April 28th had 23 points in actually Game 4. So it's definitely been an exciting series, no doubt about it. Now, when we look at Miles Turner, like I mentioned, he's gone on the under in 3 out of the last 5 games. But on top of that, his average over the last 5 is also 14.4. So, significantly below this line as well. Now, obviously, Indiana do face off against Milwaukee Bucks coming into this next game. Now, it's definitely going to be an intense game, but Indiana do still currently lead the series 3-1. So it's definitely been a huge sort of, I would say advantage for Pacers throughout this series. They've just been absolutely dominating, and that's why they do have the 3-1 lead. Now, obviously, looking at Pacers and also the Milwaukee Bucks, we do see something very interesting because the Pacers did come in at the actual 4th spot with a 50-32 record. Now, obviously, they have a 52-32 record, like I mentioned, with a 61% win percentage, and they face off against the Bucks, who are actually 5th. So technically, on paper, this playoff, series between these two teams are the most evened out when it comes to rankings. Now, Bucks had a record of 48-34, so not too far off from Pacers, but they had a 58.5% win percentage, so slightly different there. Now, coming into this next game, obviously looking at Milwaukee Bucks, although they are down 3-1, we are expecting still a very intense game. And also on top of that, we are also expecting, both of these teams to really play down to the wire, as Indiana do want to try to win this series and finalize it. While on the other side of things, we also see the Bucks, and the Bucks are trying to close this one game out in order to put themselves in a better position to hopefully push for a Game 7. So it's definitely going to be interesting. Now, looking at the Bucks, we do see during the regular season, we did see the Milwaukee Bucks, when it came to points allowed, we actually did see them ranked 13th. So they actually ranked pretty well there. Not only that did they rank pretty well there, but on top of that, when we actually look at Miles Turner, we also do see that he is playing that big man position, whether it's center or power forward, and Milwaukee Bucks actually do a fantastic job at restricting points to the big man position. And this is definitely due to a lot of factors, obviously Giannis being one of them, but they've just always done a great job against big men, and we should see that continue on into this next game. When you really look at it, and when you really look at, what is going on when it comes to actually, Miles Turner and these games against Milwaukee so far, he's gone on the under in 2 out of the 4 games. So that's definitely interesting there. And even the times that he has gone on the over, not all the times has it been a very confident win. Now, obviously, looking at Miles Turner against the Bucks, so far, we actually have seen him in the regular season in the 22nd of November, he actually had 15 points in that matchup. So he had 15 points there. Then on top of that, we actually saw on the 31st of December, he had actually 16 points in that matchup. And then on the 11th of actually, March, we actually saw him have 13 points there. And then on the 15th of that same month had 14 points. So it's definitely been very, very interesting. Now, obviously, looking at all 4 games, we've actually seen him go on the under in 3 out of those 4 games. So that's a big, big reason why we do very much like the under, for this situation here. We saw during the regular season, we are seeing it a little bit in the playoff series as well. And that's why we do very much like the under for this situation here. Now, when we actually look at, this matchup as well, we are expecting a bit of an intensity matchup in a sense of defensively due to the fact that both teams are in a win or go home situation. Bucks need to win this one. Indiana want to win this one in order to solidify it. So that's why it's definitely going to be a lot of defense, we do believe, coming from Milwaukee. So 15.5 points from Miles Turner for less, I think is a great, great pick. Now, getting into the next one, we're going to be talking about James Harden. So, as you all know, James Harden, a great player, and this one is a fantastic one because this one is actually for assist, and this is for assist for actually, let me just find it real quickly, 9.5. Here we go. Oh, sorry guys, we lost it for a second. Yeah, here, 9.5 assists, and this one actually is for less. So looking at James Harden, obviously we all know how great of a player he is, but he actually has gone on the under in 2 out of the last 5 games. Now we do see April 14th faced off against the Golden State Warriors, and in that matchup he actually had 10 assists there. April 20th, which was game 1 against Denver, had 11 assists there. Then had 7 assists against Denver in game 2 on April 22nd. Game 3, April 25th, actually did pretty decently, but still had 9 assists in that matchup. And then game 4, April 27, had 11 assists there. So interestingly enough, we do see James Harden in his average over the last 5 being 9.6, so just slightly above this line, but not really too convincing enough to us in this next matchup. Now obviously they face off against the Denver Nuggets. It's been an absolute fantastic series, one of people's favorites lately. Now obviously we do see the series tied 2-2. Now, Nuggets and Clippers are also similar in a sense of the last pick we talked about, due to the fact that both of these teams are the most evenly ranked, because Nuggets came in at the 4th spot with a 50-32 record, which was a 61% win percentage. And surprisingly, Clippers came in at the 5th spot, but also had the exact same record of 50-32 with a 61% win percentage. So it's definitely been a very interesting time. Obviously, it did come down to points for and against, which is one of the reasons why, they were able to get into that 5th spot, especially due to the fact that they had the same record as Nuggets. But either way, they were going to verse each other, whether Clippers and Nuggets switch positions or not. But looking at this, obviously, we do see that James Harden has gone on the under in 2 out of the last 5. But looking at Denver Nuggets, we do see that Denver, when it comes to assists allowed, we do see that the Denver Nuggets do rank 29th. Now, the reason why we do very much, however, like the under for this situation here is that when it comes to Denver Nuggets, they actually do a fantastic job at restricting assists to the guard position. And for that reason, we do very much see someone like James Harden going on the under in this one. When we look at Clippers and Denver, both are pretty slow-paced teams. We are expecting a pretty slow-paced game in this matchup, which could definitely lead to the under for this one. Even the times James Harden has gone on the over, it hasn't really been that convincing enough to us. He's made it by 1.5 assist over at times, and that's why, coming into this one, especially when it comes to playoff time, we could see a very different outcome, compared to actually last game. Now, looking at James Harden against Denver, we've seen something pretty interesting. Now, they faced off against each other last year on the 26th, where he had 16 assists there, so he did a fantastic job in that matchup. Then faced off again on the 1st of December, where he had actually 11 assists there, and then 13th of December had 6 assists, and on the 8th of January had 4 assists there. So we've actually seen him go on the under in 2 out of the last 5 games. Now, that's a telltale sign to us why we do like the under. Obviously, looking at both of them, at all these games, we have seen that You know, it is straight down the middle, as half of the games he did go on the over, half of the games he did go on the under. But looking at the stats, looking at where Denver actually do rank on a per position compared to assists, we do see that they do a great job against guards, and that's what we see happening to James Harden in this game. Even similar to the actual playoffs or the playoff series, we have seen Harden go on the under in 2 out of the 4 games that they have played against Denver. So that's why in this next one, we still see him going on the under. So for that reason, James Harden, 9.5 assists, 4 less, I think is a fantastic pick. So as you all know, I do want to get these picks out to you as soon as possible, but Prizepicks is delayed with some of their lines. So here are a couple of players you should definitely watch out for when their lines drop. So the first player we're going to be talking about is none other than Jalen Brunson from the New York Knicks. Now, as you all know, Jalen Brunson from the New York Knicks has done a fantastic job. Now, as we see during the regular season, we actually saw him average 26 points, 2.9 rebounds, 7.3 assists, while also shooting 48.8% from the field. So he has done a fantastic job there for the New York Knicks, and he actually came in ranked 8th in points, 150th plus in rebounds, 8th in assists, and then 40th in field goal percentage. So Jalen Brunson has definitely had himself a very, very good regular season. And now when it comes to the New York Knicks, they do face off against none other than the Detroit Pistons in this next game. Now, as we all know right now, and New York Knicks can actually seal the deal and move on, as New York lead in the series 3-1. So very, very, interesting time for both of these teams. Obviously, Pistons are going to try their best to try to stay in it. But as we all know, it is definitely going to come down to the wire for this matchup. But when we look at both Pistons and Knicks, as we all know, when we look at Knicks did have a record of 51-31. So that is 62% win percentage. They actually came in 3rd in the Eastern Conference, which is interesting to see there. And then they also facing off against the Detroit Pistons, who came in at 6th with a record of 44-38. Which is a 53.7% win percentage. So it's definitely going to be a very, very interesting game. As we all know, Knicks are looking to close things out. Now they face off against Detroit, and looking at Detroit Pistons, what we have seen during the regular season is that Detroit Pistons did rank 14th. When it came to assists allowed, we do see Detroit Pistons, ranking somewhat, a little bit better, as they do actually rank 6th. And then rebounds allowed, we also do see they rank 6th as well. So when it comes to Detroit Pistons, we have seen them be a great team, when it comes to defense, especially in the assist and rebounding category. And that's why we do very much like the, under for this situation here for someone like Jalen Brunson in the rebound and assist category. Now, there's definitely still a possibility he could go under in points as well. A big reason being is that when it actually comes to, this matchup, we all do know that Detroit Pistons do a fantastic job at restricting points, rebounds, and assists to the actual point guard position. So it's definitely still on the cards, but I definitely would focus a little bit more on rebounds and assists, as overall Detroit just do a better job at restricting that in all facets. Now that it is playoff time, we do know that Knicks do like to play their stars quite a lot, and we're talking Jalen Brunson getting quite a lot of minutes out there. He's been playing a stack amount of minutes as of lately in this series, so that's one of the reasons why we think with rebounds and points, there's a lot more likelihood of him going under there than compared to, let's say, points. However, so looking at Jalen Brunson during these these 4 games so far against Detroit, we saw in game 1 he had 34 points, he had 8 assists and 2 rebounds there. Then in game 2 had 37 points, 7 assists and 3 rebounds in the game 2. In game 3, 30 points, 9 assists, 7 rebounds, and then had 32 points, 11 assists, and also 5 rebounds in game 4. So it's definitely been fluctuating when it's going to over and under on his lines for sure. But coming into this next one, especially due to the fact that Detroit definitely need to win this, and also on the other side of things, New York looking to close things out, we definitely see this going down to the wire and Detroit playing extraordinary defense here. So, for that reason, we do very much still like the under for this situation. Like I mentioned, definitely hone in on rebounds and assists, because I definitely see a lot more value in those 2 lines for sure. So definitely keep an eye out for it. Now, getting into the next player, we're going to be talking about Kristaps Porzingis. So as you all know, Kristaps Porzingis, great player for none other than the Boston Celtics. And he's done a fantastic job for the Boston Celtics so far during the regular season, because he actually averaged 19.5 points, 6.8 rebounds, 2.1 assists, while also shooting 48.3% from the field. So he did a fantastic job there. Now, when we actually look at, Kristaps and also, Boston Celtics in general, we do see Boston Celtics facing off against Orlando Magic. Now, this is a very, very interesting series because Boston do currently lead as well 3-1. So, Boston, as we all know, can actually close this series out very quickly, and also on the other side of things, Magic are looking to try to force another game. Now, looking at both of these teams standing wise, now we did touch on it earlier, but still, Celtics did have a record of 61-21. They have a 74% win percentage, and they came in second in the Eastern Conference. And then on the other side of things, we also saw that Orlando Magic came in the 7th spot with a 41-41 record and also had a 50% win percentage there. So it's definitely been an interesting time for both of these teams. Now, obviously, looking at both, we do also see that, Kristaps Porzingis and the Boston Celtics against Magic, we do see that it is second against 7th. So, Boston are technically in favor to win this series. Now, coming into this next one, we do still see that Orlando Magic during the regular season did actually rank first in points allowed, first in assists allowed, and third in rebounds allowed. So they did a fantastic job defensively throughout the regular season, and they have continued to do that as well in the playoffs as well. Now, although Boston are winning these games, Orlando have actually done a really good job at restricting stars, especially someone like Kristaps from, really getting going on offense and also grabbing boards. And we definitely have seen that be a bit of a problem. And that's why we do very much still like the under for someone like Kristaps Porzingis. Like I mentioned, although Boston are winning these games, when it comes down to actual props, we do see Kristaps not getting the same amount of stats that he usually does see. And for that reason, we are still seeing the under for this situation, whether it's a win or lose situation for Boston. Now, looking at Kristaps Porzingis, obviously Boston Celtics and Kristaps are a very slow-paced team. Orlando Magic are a very, very slow-paced team and tend to really slow down faster-paced teams as well. And that's what they have done during this series. Even though they have lost, like I mentioned, it's definitely been a big, big thing there. Now, looking at their games so far, or, Kristaps' games against Orlando Magic so far, we did see them face off against each other in game 1, and he only had 5 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 assists there. So, interesting stat line there. Went on the under, and then we had 20 points, 10 rebounds, and 0 assists from, Kristaps in game 2. Then game 3 came along, had 7 points, 6 rebounds, and 1 assist. So went under the lines there as well. And then also in game 4 had 19 points, 5 rebounds, and 1 assist there. So, we actually have seen Kristaps go on the under consistently throughout this series, even though they have been winning. And we should see a similar outcome coming into this next matchup, no doubt about it. So, for that reason, we do very much like the under for someone like Kristaps coming into this series, and Boston may look to try to end this early. So for that reason, keep an eye out for the under for this one. If the line is too close to his averages, then definitely look to go on the under. Now, getting into the next player, we're going to be talking about Ivica Zubac. So as you all know, Ivica Zubac, great player from the LA Clippers. And he's done a great job so far during this series. But during the regular season, we actually saw him average 16.8 points, 12.6 rebounds, 2.7 assists, and also a 62.8% field goal percentage. So, he has done a fantastic job for the LA Clippers during the regular season. They were able to put together a very, very good regular season, especially losing players in the offseason. Not many people were expecting it. And now they find themselves in a pretty decent situation because they do face off against Denver, and they are currently tied 2-2 in this series. Now, when we look at both of these teams, we do know that both of these teams are actually ranked, not too far apart, because Nuggets actually came in the 4th spot in the Western Conference with a record of 50-32. So they actually had a 61% win percentage. And then on the other side of things, we also saw, LA Clippers have the same record, 50-32, with a 61% win percentage as well. So, it's definitely been an interesting time for them. Obviously looking at, the Clippers and Nuggets matchup, we do know this series has definitely been very exciting to watch, but it's always gone down to the wire as well. Now, looking at Ivica Zubac and especially Denver Nuggets, we do see Denver Nuggets when it comes to points allowed. We actually do see them, or did rank 25th during the regular season, 29th in assists allowed, and then rebounds allowed. We also saw the Denver Nuggets rank a little bit better, as they actually ranked 6th. So, they ranked higher in that rebounding category. Now, when it comes to someone like Zubac, we do actually like the over for this situation here, but strictly just points and assists. And a big reason being for this is due to the fact that Denver do actually rank, very high when it comes to restricting rebounds. But on top of that, what we also do see with this is due to the fact that when it comes to Zubac, he is facing off against, Nikola Jokic for sure. And Jokic just does a great job rebounding. So that's a big reason why we do very much like, the over for only points and assists. We think Nikola Jokic may get the better of him on the rebounding side of things. Now, when it comes to rebounds, it's definitely up and down. He could have a very good night, especially if Jokic is getting switched on smaller guards. That's when Zubac can definitely take advantage of it. But I think points and assists is definitely where we would focus on due to the fact that it is just more likely to see him do very well in those two departments. And we definitely have seen that happen, throughout the latest games. Now, when we look at actually the series, like I mentioned, it is tied 2-2. But looking at the games they've had so far, in game 1, they did actually end up losing to Denver in an overtime. And he actually had 21 points, 2 assists, and 13 rebounds in that matchup. So he did very well there. Then game 2 had 16 points, 4 assists, 12 rebounds, and then 19 points, 9 rebounds, and 1 assist in game 3, and then 19 points again in game 4 with 6 assists and 12 rebounds. So he did exceptionally well in the most recent game, even though it was a loss. Obviously, we all know Aaron Gordon hit a crazy buzzer beater during that game. But on top of that, he still went over in the points and assist line, which is what we like to see and what we are expecting in this next matchup. Now, obviously, both of these teams, are great defensively in a sense. But when we look at actually, Denver Nuggets in general, they actually do also a poor job at restricting points and assists to the center position. Now, like I mentioned, rebounds is a bit of a tough one due to the fact that, Jokic is the one going to be rebounding against him. But I think points and assists is definitely where you want to focus on for someone like Zubac coming into this game. So coming into this next matchup, definitely going to be an exciting one, and seeing how it pans out as we are heading into the next game. They will take, or whoever wins will take the lead in the series. Now, getting into the next player, we're going to be talking about Kevin Porter Jr. So, as you all know, Kevin Porter Jr., big player for, Milwaukee Bucks, or has been a very big asset for this team, because Milwaukee Bucks are in a bit of a difficult situation. We do know Kevin Porter Jr. has averaged during the regular season 10.3 points, 3.7 rebounds, 3.4 assists, while also shooting 44.9% from the field. So he has done a fantastic job. Now, obviously, he has actually ranked 119th in points, 128th in rebounds, and 73rd in assists. So he has actually done a fantastic job there. Now, as we all know, when it comes to the Milwaukee Bucks, we also do see that Milwaukee Bucks have had a pretty good record during the regular season, and they do face off against the Indiana Pacers in this next matchup. Now, obviously, Indiana do actually lead 3-1 in the series, so obviously we do know when it actually comes to, Milwaukee Bucks, they definitely need to win this game or else they are going home. So it's a very, very big game for him. I do believe when it comes to someone like Milwaukee Bucks, or a team like Milwaukee Bucks, they are going to still try to push it, even though they did lose Damian Lillard. I don't think, Giannis or the others are going to give up just yet. So anything is still possible. People have come back from 3-1, so anything can definitely still happen in this matchup, no doubt about it. But looking at actually the matchup, it is against the Pacers. Now, looking at the Pacers in the regular season, we actually did see them do a very good job. Now, Pacers did actually rank 17th in points allowed. However, when it came to assists allowed, we see that they ranked 12th, and then rebounds allowed, we also do see the Pacers ranked 22nd. So they actually ranked pretty, low in all 3 categories. Now, when we look at all 3 categories, we do very much like, the over for someone like Kevin Porter Jr. A big reason being for it is that when we actually look at Kevin Porter Jr., what we are expecting is that since Damian Lillard did get injured, Kevin Porter has definitely taken on a huger role. role, or a bigger role at that. And we definitely see that, coming into this next game, we should see a bigger usage rate from someone like Kevin Porter Jr. coming into this next game. And we definitely saw that in the most recent game as well. In game 4, we all know Lillard went down, and since he did go down, we actually saw Kevin Porter Jr. have a little bit an extra usage rate out there, and he did a fantastic job because he had 23 points, 6 assists, and 5 rebounds in that matchup. So he was able to go on the over in all 3 categories. Now, they did end up losing, but we still do very much like the over in this next scenario due to the fact that Lillard is, definitely going to be out for this game. So, for that reason, we are seeing Giannis, Kevin Porter Jr. take a little bit more of that usage rate away from the other players, and we see those two being a big focus. But for this one, we do like Kevin Porter Jr. When it comes to what really to focus on, there really isn't any to focus on. I think, KPJ definitely has a capability to go over on any one of his lines due to the fact that we are expecting, a bigger usage rate out of him. But obviously, looking at both of these teams, Pacers and Bucks, it has been, a decent series, but we also do know that Pacers did come in at a higher ranking. They did rank 4th with a 50-32 record, so that was a 61% win percentage, and then they faced off against the Bucks who have a 48-34 win record and a 58.5% win percentage. So technically on paper, Pacers should win this series, but anything can really happen coming into this game. So definitely going to be a game down to the wire for sure.